You think you know what women want. You probably believe it's about looks, money, or saying the right things. But what if I told you that the men who truly succeed with women understand something completely different? Something that changes the entire game once you see it clearly. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn will shift how you see dating forever. Most men approach women like they're solving a puzzle. They think if they find the right combination of words, gifts, or gestures, they'll unlock attraction. They study pickup lines, they memorize compliments, they calculate every move, and they wonder why it feels so exhausting, why it rarely works, why women seem so unpredictable. The truth is simpler than you think, but it requires you to let go of almost everything you've been taught. Here's what changes everything. Women don't fall for what you do. They fall for who you are when nobody's watching. They're attracted to the version of you that exists when you're not trying to impress anyone. This isn't about tricks or tactics. It's about understanding a fundamental truth that most men miss entirely. Let me explain this through a lens that combines ancient wisdom with modern reality. The Stoics understood something critical about human nature. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should focus only on what we can control. Epictetus taught that our power lies in our responses, not in external outcomes. And when you apply this to dating, everything shifts. Because right now you're probably focused on controlling her response, her attraction, her feelings. You can't control any of that. What you can control is yourself. Women are far more perceptive than most men realize. They pick up on incongruence instantly. When you're pretending to be confident but your body language screams insecurity, they notice. When you're trying to seem interesting but you're actually bored with your own life, they feel it. When you're performing a role instead of being genuine, they see right through it. This is the first thing you need to understand. You cannot fake authenticity. Think about the last time you tried really hard to impress someone. Maybe you rehearsed what you'd say. Maybe you dressed in a way that wasn't quite you. Maybe you laughed at things that weren't funny, or pretended to like things you didn't care about. How did that feel? Exhausting, right? Now imagine doing that every single day. That's what most men do when they're dating. They create a performance, and then they're shocked when women lose interest once the real person emerges. Here's the shift. Women are attracted to men who are comfortable in their own skin. Not arrogant, not perfect, just genuinely at ease with who they are. This comfort comes from internal validation, not external approval. When you stop needing her to like you, you become more attractive. This sounds backwards, but it's exactly how human psychology works. Machiavelli understood power dynamics better than almost anyone in history. He knew that perceived neediness destroys influence. The moment you appear desperate for someone's approval, you lose your position of strength. In dating, this translates directly. When you're overly available, when you're constantly seeking validation, when you change yourself to match what you think she wants, you signal low value. Not because you're actually low value, but because your behavior suggests you believe you are. Now let's talk about emotional stability. This is where most men fail without even realizing it. You meet someone you like. Suddenly your mood depends entirely on whether she texts back. You're happy when she shows interest. You're devastated when she doesn't. You're on an emotional roller coaster, and you've handed her the controls. She didn't ask for this responsibility. You gave it to her. And it makes you unattractive because it makes you unpredictable and exhausting to be around. Women want a man who has his own emotional center, someone who's happy because he's built a life worth being happy about, not because she gave him attention. This doesn't mean you don't care about her. It means your well-being doesn't hinge on her every response. When you achieve this, something interesting happens. She feels safer around you. She can relax. She doesn't have to manage your emotions on top of her own. Consider this example. Two men ask the same woman out. The first one makes it a big deal. He's nervous. He's clearly invested in her answer. If she says no, he'll be crushed. The second one asks casually. He'd enjoy spending time with her, but if she's not interested, he'll be fine. His life is full regardless. Which man do you think she's more likely to say yes to? The second one. Every time. Because there's no pressure. She's free to choose without feeling guilty or responsible for his emotional state. This brings us to the second major insight. Women are attracted to purpose. Not money, not status, but genuine purpose. A man who's moving towards something meaningful in his life. This could be building a business. It could be mastering a craft. It could be raising a family or serving a community. What matters is that you have something that drives you beyond just finding a relationship. When you have purpose, you naturally become more attractive. Your time becomes valuable. You're not always available because you're actually doing things that matter to you. You have stories to tell because you're living a real life. You have passion in your eyes because you care about something beyond just getting validation from women. This is magnetic. Most men get this backwards. They think once they find the right woman, then they'll be happy and motivated. They'll start that business. They'll get in shape. They'll pursue their dreams. This is a recipe for disappointment. Because relationships don't give you purpose. They enhance a purpose you already have. When you're waiting for a woman to complete you, you're asking her to be something she can't be, and that pressure will push her away. The Stoics talked about living according to nature, according to your own character and virtues. This means knowing who you are and what you stand for. When you have clear values and you live by them consistently, you become predictable in the best way. Women know what to expect from you. They know you won't change your entire personality based on who you're trying to impress. They can trust you because you're congruent. Here's what this looks like in practice. You have standards, not impossible standards, but real boundaries. You know what behavior you accept and what you don't. If someone treats you poorly, you walk away calmly, not because you're playing a game, but because you genuinely value yourself too much to tolerate it. This isn't about being harsh. It's about respecting yourself enough to require respect from others. Most men are terrified of losing a woman they're interested in, so they accept behavior they shouldn't. They ignore red flags. They make excuses. They convince themselves that things will get better. And in doing this, they communicate that they don't value themselves. If you don't value yourself, why should she value you? This is harsh but true. Let's talk about the third major point. Women respond to emotional leadership. This doesn't mean controlling her emotions or telling her how to feel. It means being stable enough that she can be emotional without you falling apart. Life has ups and downs. Bad days happen, stress occurs. If every time she's having a hard day you panic or try to fix it immediately, you're not providing stability. You're adding to the chaos. Emotional leadership means you can hold space for her feelings without being overwhelmed by them. She can be sad, angry or anxious, and you remain calm. Not indifferent but grounded. This is incredibly attractive because it's incredibly rare. Most people are barely managing their own emotions, let alone creating space for someone else's. Think about a captain steering a ship through a storm. The crew might panic, the waves might be terrifying, but if the captain remains calm and focused, everyone else can take strength from that stability. You're not the captain because you're perfect or because you never feel fear. You're the captain because you've learned to stay grounded even when things get difficult. This applies to everyday situations too. Plans fall through, restaurants are closed, traffic is bad, little inconveniences happen constantly. If you stay relaxed and adaptable, if you can laugh at the chaos instead of being stressed by it, you create a pleasant experience regardless of external circumstances. Women notice this. They want to be around someone who makes life feel lighter, not heavier. The fourth insight is about attention. Quality attention, not constant attention. In our world of endless distractions, truly focusing on someone has become a superpower. When you're with her, be actually present, not checking your phone, not thinking about work, not planning what you'll say next, just genuinely listening and engaging with what's happening right now. This is harder than it sounds because most of us have forgotten how to be present. We're always half somewhere else. But when you give someone your full attention, when you make them feel seen and heard, you create a connection that goes deeper than surface-level attraction. This isn't a technique. This is about actually caring enough to be fully there. Here's the distinction. Needy men give constant attention because they're afraid if they don't, she'll forget about them or find someone else. Confident men give quality attention when they're together, then go live their lives when they're apart. The difference is enormous. One feels suffocating. The other feels exciting. Women need space just like men do. Space to think, to miss you, to wonder what you're doing. When you're always texting, always available, always trying to talk, you eliminate mystery. You eliminate the chance for her to actually desire your presence because she never experiences your absence. This doesn't mean playing games or ignoring her. It means having a full enough life that you're not always waiting around for her next message. The fifth point is about growth. Women are attracted to men who are evolving, not perfect but improving. Someone who reads, who learns, who challenges himself, who isn't the same person he was a year ago. This shows self-awareness. It shows you're not complacent. It shows you have standards for yourself, not just for others. Growth also means you can admit when you're wrong. You can apologize genuinely. You can take feedback without getting defensive. These qualities are rare and valuable. Most people would rather protect their ego than grow as a person. When you're secure enough to acknowledge your mistakes and learn from them, you stand out dramatically. Consider how you respond to criticism or conflict. Do you immediately defend yourself? Do you blame others? Do you shut down? Or can you pause, consider whether there's truth in what's being said, and respond thoughtfully? This ability to regulate yourself in difficult moments shows emotional maturity. And emotional maturity is one of the most attractive qualities a person can have. This also means you're not trying to be perfect. You're comfortable being a work in progress. You can laugh at yourself. You can acknowledge your flaws without being defined by them. This creates safety for her to be imperfect too. She doesn't have to pretend around you because you're not pretending around her. Now the sixth and perhaps most important insight. Women want to feel chosen, not needed. There's a massive difference. When you need someone, you're with them because you can't handle being alone. When you choose someone, you're with them because you genuinely want to share your life with them, even though you'd be fine on your own. Neediness repels, choice attracts. When a woman knows you're with her because you want to be, not because you're desperate for any relationship, she can relax into the connection. She doesn't have to worry that you're just settling for her because you couldn't find anyone else. She knows she's special to you specifically. This requires you to actually be okay alone first. You need to build a life that's satisfying as a single person. Friends, hobbies, purpose, health, mental well-being. All of this needs to be in place before you're truly ready for a healthy relationship. Because if you're using a relationship to escape loneliness, you're not entering it from a position of strength. Many men rush into relationships because they can't stand being alone with themselves. They jump from one person to the next, never taking time to actually become whole on their own. This creates a pattern of codependency. You become addicted to the validation a relationship provides instead of building genuine connection. Here's what most people won't tell you. The right person won't complete you. They'll complement you. There's a difference. Completion suggests you're incomplete without them. Complement suggests you're already whole, and they add to your life in meaningful ways. This is the foundation of a healthy relationship. So what does all this mean practically? It means you stop chasing and start building. Build yourself. Build your life. Build your character. Become someone you respect. Develop skills. Pursue interests. Create value in the world. Help people. Challenge yourself. Read philosophy. Exercise. Meditate. Journal. Do the internal work that most men avoid. When you do this, attraction becomes natural instead of forced. You're not trying to convince anyone of your value. Your value is evident in how you live. You're not performing confidence. You're actually confident because you've built a foundation worth being confident about. You're not faking outcome independence. You genuinely don't need any particular outcome because your well-being doesn't depend on it. This is what the Stoics meant by focusing on what you control. You control your actions, your effort, your character development. You don't control whether someone likes you. So pour your energy into what you can actually influence. The ironic result is that when you stop trying so hard to be liked, more people like you, because you become authentic, and authenticity is rare and magnetic. Machiavelli would add this: power comes from options. When you have a great life and multiple opportunities, you're not desperate for any single outcome. This negotiating position applies to dating just as much as politics. When you're genuinely okay walking away from something that doesn't serve you, you immediately become more attractive. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you actually value yourself. Women test for this constantly, usually unconsciously. They want to know if you'll compromise your values to keep them around. They want to see if you'll tolerate poor treatment. They want to understand if you're genuine or performing. These aren't malicious tests. They're survival instincts. Women need to know they can trust you before they open up fully. When you pass these tests by simply being consistently yourself, by maintaining your boundaries, by not changing based on her mood, you build trust. And trust is the foundation of attraction that lasts beyond the initial excitement. Physical attraction fades, novelty wears off. What remains is whether she respects you, trusts you, and feels safe with you. This is why nice guys who do everything right still fail. They're operating from the wrong framework. They think if they're just nice enough, agreeable enough, available enough, she'll eventually reciprocate their feelings. But respect can't be negotiated. Attraction can't be earned through favors. These things emerge naturally when you're being genuinely valuable, not when you're trying to prove your value. The shift happens when you realize you're not trying to win her over. You're getting to know her to see if she's a good fit for your life. You're interviewing her as much as she's interviewing you. You have standards and preferences too. This equal dynamic is what creates mutual respect. When both people feel chosen rather than settling, the relationship has room to grow. Let me be clear about something. None of this is about manipulation or playing games. It's about becoming a genuinely high-value person by working on yourself. It's about building real confidence through real accomplishment. It's about developing emotional maturity through conscious effort. There are no shortcuts, no magic lines, no secret techniques, just consistent work on becoming someone worth knowing. The men who understand this stop worrying about dating. They're too busy building great lives, and ironically, that's when dating becomes easier, because they're no longer desperate for it. They're open to it, but not dependent on it. This energy is completely different from the guy who's trying hard to make something happen. You'll know you've internalized this when rejection doesn't devastate you anymore. When someone's not interested, you genuinely think that's fine and wish them well. When a relationship ends, you're sad but not destroyed. When you're single, you're content but open. This emotional stability is what separates boys from men in the dating world. Here's your challenge. For the next month, completely shift your focus. Stop thinking about how to attract women. Start thinking about how to build a life you're genuinely proud of. What would you do if you knew you'd be single forever? What hobbies would you pursue? What skills would you develop? What friends would you invest in? What goals would you chase? Go do those things. Do them for yourself, not to impress anyone. Watch what happens. You'll become more interesting because you'll actually be interested in your own life. You'll have more energy because you're not wasting it on anxiety about dating. You'll be more attractive because you'll be genuinely content. And when you do meet someone worth your time, you'll engage from a place of strength rather than neediness. This is what the ancient wisdom has been pointing to all along. The Stoics taught that the path to peace is through mastering yourself. Machiavelli taught that power comes from genuine strength, not performance. Modern psychology confirms what philosophy has known for thousands of years. The most attractive thing you can be is genuinely, comfortably, unapologetically yourself. So here's what I want you to do. If this video shifted something in your perspective, hit that like button. Not for me, but as a commitment to yourself that you're done with the games and ready to do the real work. Drop a comment telling me one specific thing you're going to focus on building in your own life starting today. And subscribe, because we're going to keep exploring these truths that most people are too afraid to talk about. This is about becoming the kind of man you respect, and that's a journey worth taking together. I'll see you in the next one.